Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is actually taken from a ranked game, believe it or not. We were getting close to the end of set 12 and I figured why not queue up for a handful of ranked games and just see what happens. And in this game, we're going to see dead comps. Zombies back from the dead. It's Ahri Reroll, which is actually back again. Yeah, this, as so frequently happens in Teamfight Tactics, something that was strong at one point in time, goes all the way through the buff and nerf cycle, and then after a couple of months, it kind of becomes a zombie and comes back again. So we're going to look at a new version of an Ahri Reroll build. There's a couple changes, but by and large, this is pretty similar to what was popular at the start of the set. All right, for our initial portal, I had gone over to CastFest, nobody else joined me, and we end up with Prismatic Prelude instead. So we will be getting at least one Prismatic augment in this game. Now, I did not have anything in particular in mind as far as what I was going to play in this game. I figured, you know, I'll just see what drops, see what I get, and go from there. In fact, when this Cassiopeia dropped, I thought, oh, you know, Cassiopeia and Syndra reroll is actually not terrible in this current version of the game. Maybe I can try to play something along those lines. The Ziggs I would not play with the Cassiopeia, I would play with Syndra. But, you know, I have a tier, which is not terrible for that. So I was thinking maybe we'll go in that direction. Anytime you get the tier and you have some spellcasters, it's not necessarily a bad idea to go off in some kind of spellcasting direction. So anyway, we're going to see what we can do there. And I'm just kind of waiting to see what I get here. And I'm going to get a little bit more direction here on this minion round because an Ahri pops out of the orb. And I was like, oh, Ahri, okay. And I've also got a belt here. And then I'm looking at the different options here. And I was like, is there any chance I could play Ahri? Because I do have the Lilia here as well. I was like, maybe. You know, that's not too contested at the moment. It's really not that bad in the current patch version, but it tends to be pretty uncontested. I could also look to go into Hunters here because I do have the Cogmaw. But the problem with that is these are really not items you would want to have if you were going to look to play like Cogmaw plus Namzi or go into Jinx. Like, these are just not really the items you would want there. And then I also get this, by the way, I get another Ahri that drops there, and I get a Rod. So I was like, okay, this is definitely a spellcasting comp of some kind. Now, as far as our options, again, it's a Prismatic Augment. We knew it would be because that's what the initial portal was. None of these initial ones really look that good. Subscription Service definitely does not fit with doing a reroll build. It's not an immovable object. Spoils of War, possibly, but then I see Pandora's items. I almost never take Pandora's items as a Prismatic. I kind of don't like this one if it's a Prismatic Augment, but I was like, you know, I think I can actually take that here. I don't think it's terrible. I just did not think that my board was strong enough to try win streaking with Spoils of War. So I would have gone for that one if I thought that my board could win streak, but I didn't think that my board was in position to do that. So anyway, I will go ahead and take the tier. I'm going to slap that on a unit so that it doesn't reroll on Pandora's bench. I also really do need to pick up this Zoe. I'm actually going to go ahead and put the Rod on the Ziggs because I don't want that Rod to reroll. I actually want to make some kind of an item out of the Rod. Now I'm looking at the different comps and just trying to make sure that no one is going to be re-rolling this build. And after looking through the different options, I'm pretty confident no one is. I also do need to buy this Zoe because you definitely play the Zoe on this board. Did I remember to do that? Where did I miss this unit? Looks like I narrowly lose this round. Did I remember to grab this Zoe? Yes, okay. Fortunately, I do remember to grab the Zoe there at the last second. You know, if I'd been playing the Zoe on the board like I'm supposed to, I probably would have won that round because Zoe would put Scholar trait in play. So let's go ahead and do that. And then look at this item that I've gotten here. The Radiant Hurricane has re-rolled into a Radiant Gunblade. And I was like, this isn't exactly the item I want, but I think this is probably good enough. I don't want to have it just sit on my bench like not doing anything for ages. I think that this is playable. So the Radiant Gunblade as an item will give some additional stats. It actually gives both AD and AP, which is a little bit odd, but it gives a decent amount of AP. And the big thing that it does, of course, is it has that Omnivamp, is your unit will heal for a percentage of the damage dealt. I believe on the Radiant item, it's 35%. Yeah, 35%. So it's 40 AP. You heal for 35% of the damage dealt, and you also heal the lowest percentage ally by 35% of the damage dealt as well. So if I can get big damage on the Ahri, then she will also be healing another unit at the same time, typically the front line. So, as I said, I don't know that this is 100% the item I would have picked, but I think it's pretty decent here. As you see, I lose that other board. That other board was level 5, and I was level 3, so it wasn't the closest fight there. And I wouldn't expect to win these rounds early on in the game. These reroll comps usually lost streak throughout stage 2. And again, that's why I didn't want to take Spoils of War, because you only take that if you think your board is strong enough to win streak, and I did not think I was in a position to do that. So I am forced to auto level to level 4 here. Always level to 4 on 2-3 if you haven't spent any money on experience. I am again just checking all the boards, making sure that no one looks like they're going to reroll for this. Someone has a 2-star Poppy sitting on their bench. I was like, what is going on there? 2-star Poppy on the bench. That's pretty weird. So hopefully no one's going to take these out of the pool, but indeed, no one is re-rolling for these units. And in fact, some people are actually re-rolling for some of the other units that are 1-cost units. I know that someone's re-rolling for B units, so they're going to take like a whole bunch of Ziggs out of the pool. And I think someone ends up re-rolling for Ash as well and takes a whole bunch of the 1-cost multi-strikers out of the board. So I'm confident that what I'm playing is uncontested, and people will be re-rolling and taking other units out of the pool. Also, my level 4 board that had no 2-star units just beat a level 5 board that had level up. So I was like, all right, okay. Here, I'm looking to try to see what item I can get. I do have early carousel pick priority, so I can get something pretty good here. And I did think about taking the tier, but it was on a 1 gold Twitch, and I figured I could probably find another tier at some point in time in this game. So I went ahead and took another rod to make Death Cap, which is going to be a really good item to put on the Ahri. I'm going to be quite happy to have a Death Cap. But then I did belatedly see that there was another Ahri on the carousel with a glove. I could have taken that Ahri, and then I would have had I could have made Jeweled Gauntlet and had an Ahri 2-star. And I was like, you know, I think in retrospect, I might have been better off. I might have been better off just taking that glove for 2-star Ahri. That might have been better. But in any case, I will go ahead and move the Death Cap over to the Ahri. Now I just want to get a tier. If my items are blue buff plus Death Cap plus Radiant Gunblade, I'll be very, very happy with those items. I also dumped the Shen and replaced it with a Poppy that would seem to be a downgrade, going from the Shen to the Poppy, replacing a 3-cost with a 1-cost. But Poppy does make Witchcraft trait with the Zoe, and I'm going to be re-rolling for this unit, so why not? Might as well go ahead and make that swap right now. Again, I still have no 2-star units on my board, so I'm expecting to lose all of these rounds. I really should lose all of them, but you know, that Radiant Gunblade, it is healing my team every single time I cast, and okay, apparently we beat that board too. But my board of all 1-star level 4 units actually seems to be relatively well built here. But yeah, I managed to squeak that one out. And again, you can see the power of the early Radiant item. The early Radiant item actually is quite good. Now, if I could just start to hit some of these units in my shop, I'm really not seeing these units in my shop thus far. But I've been able to preserve a decent amount of health, so I'm reasonably happy with that. I'm not getting quite as much econ as if I was on a full loss streak, but by the same token, the ability to win some of these rounds is not the worst thing. I mean, again, with a board that's really not hitting thus far, I probably should be on a full loss streak. This also is partly due to the quality of the lobby. This is a placement game because I haven't played any ranked games the entire split. I'm up against people who either don't have a rating or are probably not rated very high. And indeed, I'm kind of used to playing in a lot of diamond lobbies, and this was clearly not a diamond lobby, I have to say. So also probably a function of being an easier lobby. All right, now this board's also level 4, but they have 3 2-star units. I have 0 2-star units. I almost win that round as well, but I do come up a little bit short. But anyway, like I said, not the worst thing to have happen. Okay, so I do want to cover, while we've got the minion round here, let's go ahead and cover Ahri's ability, because they did change Ahri a little bit from the way that she used to be. They did rework her slightly in one of the patches, however far back. Here is the new description of her ability. Traits are Arcana and Scholar. Her ability costs 35 mana. Fire an orb at the current target, dealing magic damage. Obviously goes up at higher ranks. Launch 3 Foxfires at enemy near the target, each dealing additional true damage. Gain an additional Foxfire this combat. That Foxfire part was not part of the ability before. I believe her ability did, I think it did magic damage on like the way out and then true damage on the way back or something like that. So now the orb just deals magic damage And it has this secondary thing where it launches Firefoxes. What is that? Yeah, Firefox is an enemy near the target, and every time you cast, you get additional versions of those Firefoxes. Here I am, of course, doing my roll down on level 4. I want to roll down. I decided I would roll to 40 gold to try and pick up a few more of these 1-cost units. And it turns out that that was pretty worthwhile because I was able to 2-star everything except the Ahri. And I also found 1 Hecarim for my board as well. So this is kind of the original core portion of the board. You play 3 1-costs, the Poppy, the Lilia, the Zoe, and then Ahri as a 2-cost. And then Hecarim goes in on level 5. And then another Bastion unit, preferably Taric, but any other Bastion unit, goes in on level 6, and that gets you 4 Bastion. And then you can play more Scholars from there. So now that I have 2-starred all my units, my board definitely is stronger. Again, I probably shouldn't be winning these rounds, but I actually end up beating that player who was level 5 to my level 4. I think it is because my board is reasonably well built here. And I also did go ahead and make a Sunfire Cape just because I didn't have a heal cut on my board and I thought it would be useful. Now, next up is we get another Prismatic. I kind of didn't want another Prismatic, but out of these options, I do have a good choice. Spellcaster's Toolbox. Gain a Mana Zane, and then in 3 rounds gain, a Zanya's Paradox. So this means that now I'm going to go ahead and put the... I'm not going to make a blue buff on Ahri now. Instead, I'm going to rely on having this the Mana Zane. What this item does is after your unit casts for the first time, they gain, I think it's 200 mana over the next, it's like the next 5 seconds or something like that. So she is going to, once she gets the initial cast off, she is then going to cast, I think, like 5 or 6 times in a row because her mana cost is only 35, and I believe she gets 200 mana from this item. I don't have the Mana Zane stats in front of me right now, but like basically she's going to cast and then cast and then cast and then cast and then cast, something like that. And remember, every time she casts, she gets an additional Foxfire. Yeah, look at how her mana bar just is like instantly filling up. She got stunned there, so we didn't see it, but she literally got off like 6 casts in a row over like the next, I don't know, 8 seconds or so. And remember, every time she casts, she gets can't talk. Every time she casts, she gets an additional Foxfire that deals bonus true damage. So that's pretty nice there. You know, she gets 3 Foxfires on the first cast, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, etc. So she's going to scale really well over the course of these fights. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that overall setup. By the way, there's also a Tahm Kench in my store here, but like I won't play Tahm Kench and another Tahm Kench. It's a bit unfortunate, but I won't be playing Tahm Kench for quite a while, so there's no reason to pick this up and spend econ on it. So I am just gonna continue to slow roll here, and now we finally have 2-star Ahri. That's pretty big. Finally had the 2-star Ahri. I had the 2 Ahris on 2-1. Was it on I think it was on stage 1-4, I had an Ahri pair, and then I finally get the 3rd Ahri here on 3-3. And then I also might as well pick up this Hecarim, because I do need a 2-star Hecarim as well. But again, we are not contested. I know I'm not contested, because I keep scouting other players. So again, we're just going to take our time. We're going to slow play this, and we're just going to stay over 50 gold and slow roll for the units, and hopefully they'll show up. But with people taking a whole bunch of other 1-costs out of the pool, I think I'm relatively safe to have these units pop up over time. As far as what Ahri's damage did when she went from 1-cost to 1-star to 2-star, her damage actually goes up by 50%. She goes from 220 base to 330 base, and then she goes up to 500 base when she gets to 3 stars. That's a big jump. It's 50%, and then like another 50% on top of that. So she gets a lot when she stars up to the higher star levels. I've actually won enough rounds to be last pick, which is kind of remarkable given the board I'm playing. But that means I can kind of take anything because I have Pandora's items here. I can kind of take whatever I want. So I'll go ahead and take the cloak, and I'm pretty happy with the cloak here because I'd really, really like to make an Ionic Spark and put it on a frontline unit. I have a heal cut now in the form of the Sunfire. It's not the best heal cut, but it's decent enough. Also, I'm going to do the coin flip, and hey, I actually get 2 gold out of it. That's a pretty worthless charm, but I'll take the 2 gold. Will let me roll a little bit more. But to get back to that previous point, as I said, and hey, there we go, we're up to 6 Zoes. I have a heal cut in the form of the Sunfire Cape. As I said, it's not one of the game's better heal cuts, but it'll do. It'll help me out against boards that have a lot of healing. And so then the other thing I really need is some form of magic resist shred, and I don't really want a static shiv that badly. I mean, I could play it, but I think I'd prefer to have an Ionic Spark. And that's because Ahri spends a lot of time hitting frontline. Like, her ability does not slip through and hit the backline. She's going to be casting at tanks for most of these fights. So Ionic Spark is really nice because it'll get some magic resistance shred of units on the enemy front line, which is where Ahri is going to be casting. So I would very much like to get that, and I think I can probably get another rod at some point in time, whether that's from an anvil or whether that's from just having Pandora's items. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this, and I'm going to get that Zanya's Paradox in a couple more rounds as well. Is it this round or the next round? I think it's... Oh, no, there it is. There it is popping out. So this is another artifact, and it's a really good frontline tank item. It gives 40 AP, 30 armor, 30 magic resistance, and when the unit in question gets low, they become invulnerable. I think it's for like 2 seconds. So it's a very good tank item, and Lilia's a good holder of it. So anyway, we're going to keep buying these. I'll go ahead and buy the Charm that costs health, and then, ooh... I got another Ahri. I actually got a Rise as well. I was like, Rise. Now, Rise is a unit that I do want to play on this board long term. But you see I actually sell the Rise. And the reason for that is I won't play Rise for some time. Because on level 6, I want to play another Bastion unit. And then Rise would be the ideal unit to get in on level 7. Because if I can play Taric on level 6, that'll make 4 Bastion. And then Taric plus a Rise would put Portal Trade in. And Rise is also a Scholar. So that would get me to 3 Scholar, and then on level 8, I could play Bard or Melio for 4 Scholar. And that's kind of the core of the build that you would want to play there. This is a little bit... Oh, by the way, I did win streak all the way through stage 3, so okay. Let's go. Again, a lot of these other boards just really weren't that strong, but I will say that I think I made really good use of the augments that I've gotten thus far, because, you know, that Radiant... The Radiant Gunblade has been helping me a lot, and then the 2 artifact items that I've gotten out of the second augment are also helping me a lot, so the Prismatics have been worth a lot of power, but I still probably should not have win-streaked all the way through stage 3, given that I have no 3-star units, and I was just slow rolling there to try to get closer. Now, here's where I do end up making a mistake. I go ahead and slam this Shojin because I didn't want this item to reroll, but then another tier popped out, and I was like, I could have had a blue buff on Zoe. By the way, I do get a rod there, so that's nice. But I really would have preferred a blue buff on the Zoe instead of having... By the way, there's another Rise, but again, and there's another Rise. I mean, if I'd had bench space, I would have just played a 2-star Rise, but I don't have bench space for this guy, so I was like, all right, I guess I just got to keep rolling here. I need to hit these 3 stars first, so I think I end up selling this Rise too. I've seen 3 Rises. And then look at this, gain a copy of every 1-cost champion. That's fantastic for me. That's going to give me another, what's this, another Zoe. That's going to make Zoe 3-star. There we go. It's going to give me another Lilia. It's going to give me another Poppy. So that's going to get me to 9 Zoes. It's going to get me to 8 Lilias, and it's going to get me to 7 Poppies. So that's really, really good. I'm just taking my time. I have to sell all these other 1-cost units. But I will ultimately find another Poppy. I think Poppy's the very last one to pop out. Yeah, there we go. And I won that round anyway in the background while all that was going on. Now we have time for one more augment. So let's see what we're going to get for this one. A number of good things I could certainly play here. It turns out this one's not prismatic. It's going to be gold. But I see this higher education. Every time your scholars spend 80 mana, all scholars gain 12% attack speed. Gain a Zoe and an Ahri. I was like, oh my god, that's going to give me another Ahri? That seems pretty good. So whenever the scholars cast now, they're going to gain additional attack speed, which is going to be just great for my board. Because remember, Ahri, as soon as she casts 1 time, she's going to fill up that mana Zane, and then she's just going to keep casting over and over and over again. So that's going to lead to stacking attack speed as well. So what is it? Every time a scholar every time we go through 80 mana, all scholars gain 10% attack speed. And by the way, there I decided I'd roll it down to hit the Lilia 3-star. And then I was like, do I want to level to play Shen here? I'm only 2 off Ahri, 2 off the Poppy. I decided I'd just go ahead and level and play the Shen. The reason for that is I am on a 6-match win streak, and I really do want to keep this win streak going. The Poppy is not as important. I'd like to hit 3-star Poppy, but if I come up a little bit short, it's not the end of the world. I will stay here on level 6 until I can hit Ahri, though. So Ahri is the key unit I have to hit. And I'd like to hit the Poppy, but if I come up short, it's not the end of the world. Still, I wanted to level to get the 4 Bastion in and to try to preserve win streak. Although it turns out that board was kind of weak, so I probably didn't have to do that. Still, this third augment is great because it's going to synergize so well with that Mana Zane. And it just means that as Ahri fills up her mana bar repeatedly from the Mana Zane, it's going to translate into more attack speed on all of my scholars. And clearly the Zoe and the Ahri are going to be my main carries in this game. Yeah, every time your scholars spend 80 mana, all scholars gain 12% attack speed. We're going to be looking to play into 4 scholars, and we should be able to stack that up pretty fast. So, I mean, if we can do that like 4 or 5 times, that's like, what, 50, 60% attack speed? That's going to be really, really nice. And of course, Rise, who we want to play eventually, is going to scale off of attack speed. So that all seems pretty good. I think I'm doing quite well with my augments here. And I'm especially got an advantage over boards like this. Like, look at this person. They took level up for their first prismatic. They took, I don't remember the name of the second one, but it's the one that just gives you a ton of gold. And then they took duplicators for their third. That is no combat augments whatsoever in a double prismatic plus gold lobby. Like, you better be really confident that you can get to level 9 or level 10 quickly if you're going to take that, because you are down multiple prismatic augments that give people combat power, plus another gold augment. So, like, yeah, that person's board needs to be, like, hitting level 9 right this instant to make those worthwhile, and it's clear that they're not really that close. So, as I said again, the lobby's maybe not quite as tight as some of the other ones that I've played. Now, there's a Taric on this carousel, so I was like, all right, I'll just take the Taric, and I can let that cloak re-roll into something else. So we'll just take the Taric and play the Taric, because why not? That saves me from having to find Taric. I can just play him here, and then if Rise shows up again, I'll have Portal trade in and another Scholar, so we can ditch the Shens and go straight from there, and now I have more gold to roll with again. All right, so back to rolling. There's Ahri, so we're on 8 Ahris. And that charm does not seem too useful here. There's a Poppy, so 8 and 8. Can I hit these? Well, there's the Poppy. One more Ahri. Can I find one more? I'm going to pick up the Tom for right now. And I can't remember if I roll for this or if I decided to just be patient. I think I decided to be patient here and just wait for at least one more round. But I did hit the Poppy 3-star, so that's nice. And with Arcana trait, that does translate into additional ability power. As a quick refresher, for those who might not have played this set, the Arcana trait does different things depending on which Arcana unit you select as like the featured Arcana unit. I have it on Ahri, and she gives additional team-wide ability power based on how many 3-star units you have. So the more 3-star units you have, the more AP she gives the team. So I have 3 of them right now. I believe that at Arcana 2, it's 10 flat AP and then 5 per 3-star. So I think I'm getting 25 AP for the whole team, something like that. By the way, I also decided I'll just go ahead and make Giant Slayer because I think that's a decent enough item. And then can we hit the Ahri? And, oh, there it is. Okay. If you win your next player combat, gain 10 gold. Well, I've won 9 in a row, so I'm fairly confident I'll be able to win this and get that 10 gold payout. And now I have Ahri 3-stars. So again, I mentioned her damage goes up by about 50% when she hits that. So I'm feeling pretty confident right so far. I've got Ahri, what is it? I have Ahri 3, Poppy 3, Zoe 3, Lilia 3. And I think my items are pretty good here for this overall setup. I'm very happy with that. I just wish I'd made the blue buff for Zoe. Zoe's mana cost is 30, so if she has a blue buff, that drops to 20. I actually knocked this player out, this poor person. I mean, Shojin's not terrible on her. It's just the blue is definitely better. But I can live with it. And Zoe does give me another magic resistance shred as well. Her ability is an MR shred. By the way, Grillo popped in to say good luck. I actually missed when he said that earlier, but yeah, he popped in to say good luck. All right, so I mentioned before, where does the build go from here when you're doing this Ahri reroll? I've kind of hit all the key 3-stars. Now we want to level and play better units. Well, back in the day, one of the ways that this board would be played is you would typically play deeper into Arcana trait. Like you would look to maybe, you already are going to play the Hecarim because he gives Bastion trait, but you could also look to play into like Tom Kench, who I have on the bench. Yes, I have Kench on the bench. I know that's a meme. You could also look to play into Xerath. Like a lot of the time you just try to go heavy vertical Arcana, but that's not quite as good as it used to be. And by the way, these items here, I was like, I really want like another AP item. I want something with bows or rods, but it's not really an option. But it's like, oh, Rise is here. We'll put him on the board for Portal trait. So yeah, and then we'll look to go ahead and get to level 8. As I mentioned before, so you might have looked to play deeper into Arcana trait before, but that's not as effective now. And the reason for that is over the course of patches, the developers have made Arcana trait just weaker. Playing vertical Arcana, they basically made weaker. So while it's not bad to put additional Arcana units on the board, I think it's stronger now to try to get 4 Scholar in. Playing 4 Bastion, 4 Scholar, I think is probably better than trying to get up to like 3 or 4 Arcana. And so that's the direction I'm trying to go right now. I already have the 4 Bastion in. I've got the Rise in to get Portal trait. Now I'd like to get to level 8, and on 8 I can slot in Bard, or if I would find him, Melio, but more likely Bard. And then that'll let me play 4 Scholar. I could also play Zillion if I would happen to find the Zillion as well, but it's probably more likely to be the Bard. So that's the direction I'm going here. And by the way, did you see what happened to my items on the bench? Go back and rewind this video. I had a tier and a belt on the bench. Well, the belt re-rolled into a tier, and the tier re-rolled into a belt. So I had the exact same components as I did before. They just both swapped into the other one. I was like, what the heck? What just happened? Every round, so there's 8 components in Teamfight Tactics, plus the spatulas and frying pans. So because Pandora's Bench will reroll into one of 7 other possibilities, every round it's 1 in 7 odds to get a particular component. So the odds that both things on my bench would reroll into the exact same components is 1 in 49. So it's like a 2% result there. But anyway, I didn't want to make Redemption because I didn't think I needed more frontline. I think my frontline is fine here. What I want is another damage item to go on Zoe. So like I said, I want like a rod or a bow or something, and I didn't really get that. So all right, there's the Bard. We'll play the Bard for 4 Scholar. And then I was like, all right, you know, there's a Reforger, there's a Remover and a Reforger here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this because it's a free charm, doesn't cost anything. It just means I can't get a like combat charm. I was like, all right, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take this cloak, we're going to reforge it, and another tier pops out. What is going on here? It's like the game wants me to make a redemption so badly here. Anyway, I just have to highlight that because that's so absurd. I had a tier and a belt, and then they re-rolled into a belt and a tier, and then the tier re-rolled into a belt plus a cloak, and then the cloak became a tier again. I was like, okay. Anyway, this game has been pretty laid back so far, and I am keeping an eye on these other boards, but I'm really not that scared by too many of them. There is someone who I think has a 3-star Jinx, and I think that's about the only thing, but like they don't really have much around that unit in their board. They don't have like a 4 Hunters set up, or the going deep into Preserver trait that people typically do when they're playing that. So none of these boards really look that intimidating, and I'm really just kind of focusing more on my team. Now, there's not really anything I want that badly here, so I was like, you know, I have Pandora's items. I'm going to take the Frost Emblem. Obviously, I don't want Frost trait. I'm just going to let this re-roll on the bench. Maybe this re-rolls into something good. And then look at this. There's a Xerath in my store. Also, now, finally, the items have rolled into something I want. And we'll go ahead and turn that into a Jeweled Gauntlet. So we're going to let that Frost Emblem re-roll. The best thing that it could possibly turn into would be if it turned into a Scholar Emblem. Then I could actually go to level 9, and then I could put Melio on the board for 6 Scholar. Now, the odds of that are not very high. I think the odds are 1 in 17 to get to any one particular emblem, because now there's, what is it, I think, or no, there's what, I think 16 makeable emblems, and it will re-roll into one of those. So I guess it's 1 in 15 odds to turn into Scholar. Not great, but it could turn into something useful. I mean, it could turn into a Bastion emblem. If it turned into a Bastion emblem, I'd try to find, like, Diana on level 9 and play 6 Bastion. That would be pretty good. Like, I'd be reasonably pleased with doing that. And, you know, there's other stuff it could turn into as well. Maybe it turns into a Preserver, in which case maybe it could try to play Morgana on level 9. So anyway, we'll try to see what it turns into. Obviously, Frost is not useful, but I kind of have the luxury of going for this. And by the way, we're down to only 3 players in the lobby already. So again, I'm just taking my time and turn into a Chrono Emblem. I was like, ooh, Chrono. Is there any way I can get Chrono trade in? But no, there's actually not a single Chrono unit on my board, which is a little unfortunate. I would have been happy to play that. But I don't have a single Chrono unit on my board, so that's not really going to be viable as an option. Oh, by the way, it could also turn into an Arcana Emblem. That would be really nice. And I'm typing a message back to Grillo, just thanking him for sending me the earlier one. You guys get to see behind the veil here. A little hidden stuff going on. No. But anyway, yeah, so I actually have the Ghost Round this turn. And my plan is just go to level 9 at the beginning of stage 6. I should have enough gold to get there. I can put Bard back on the board. I already have Bard on the board for 4 Scholar. We can try to find Melio, and we can put the Xerath on the board for 3 Arcana, which is going to mean more AP for the whole team. By the way, this fight's really close. but it looks like the Callista barely managed to win that round. I'm also keeping an eye on these boards. Is anyone close to anything 3-star? And the answer is, doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like there's anything too dangerous. By the way, the multi-striker emblem, of course, is not useful for me. I mean, I guess I could technically try to make 3 multi-striker, but this is a spellcasting board. We don't really care about physical damage on this one. Still, I do have a Xerath pair. I mean, I could put Xerath on the board. If I can find one more Xerath, that's 2-star Xerath. And I believe Arcana is giving me... I think if I put the Xerath on the board for 3 Arcana, I believe that it gives me almost 50 AP to the whole team. So... Xerath that has 50 AP, that sounds pretty good. Also, that's Bard 2 stars, so we'll hold on to that. All right, and I get Animate Shop, so I'm going to go ahead and level to 9 and then use Animate Shop here. Let's see if I can hit something good. All right, come on. I'll put the Xerath on the board for the 3 Arcana. There we go. All right, so that's Rise 2-star. That's something. By the way, I've got another Frost emblem again, so okay, thanks for rerolling to Frost. I'll play the Melio over the Bard. And can I hit anything else on this shop? Anything? Come on. All right, apparently not. So I'm just going to pull my Anvil, and out of these options, there is a really good item here. I'll take the Archangel Staff, which is an excellent Rise item. Rise tends to scale throughout the fight, so this is a really nice item for him. And of course, he's going to be getting scaling attack speed through the gold augment that I took there. So every time Scholars keep casting, he gets more attack speed. And now, yeah, now I have a 2-star Rise on my board as well. And, well, that fight was not especially close, and my Ghost is going to win against the other player, who I think is trying to get to level 9, but yeah, they're not quite there yet. Also, look, I get a Honeymancer emblem, so I haven't really been doing great with the various emblems here, but yeah. Okay, and then look at this, gain a champion duplicator. I was like, okay, I'll take that. Happy to take that. Can I find another Taric? All right, well, I don't find a Taric, so we'll just duplicate the Xerath. Boom, now we have 2-star Xerath on our board. On our 3 Arcana board. Yeah, so he's getting about 50 AP. So like if by some chance the Ahri and the Zoe and the Rise don't kill the other team, I still have a 2-star Xerath who has like the equivalent of a Death Cap who can also get his cast off. Yeah. 10 blast that each deal 551 magic damage. That's like 5,000 damage if he gets his cast off. The other team did... Now, I did not get a combat charm, and this person actually did get the one that stunned my team at the start of the fight. So that's probably why this one's somewhat close, but not actually close. So yeah, we're going to win that one and clean up this lobby without too much trouble. So a pretty easy game overall. I mean, I win the lobby on like 80-something health. I don't think I lost a single round after stage 2, which for a reroll board that tends to be weak at the start of the game is kind of shocking to win with that much health. But as I said, it was a pretty soft lobby, so it was almost like playing a single-player game here in some ways because I didn't really see much opposition. But I was really happy with how I built the board, even if with a lot of things came together. Had some good RNG, but like I think this is pretty much how you would want to play this team comp if you're uncontested, and it all just worked out. So just wanted to share this footage. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this one. Until next time, take care, folks, and I'll see you again soon.